Connecticut, the land where even the notion of getting windblown is questionable. Are we sure this wasn't Hurricane Steve?
Welcome to GayTalk 2.0, the ultimate podcast for your dose of dish.
Good evening, my windblown people. Welcome back to another episode of GayTalk 2.0, an LGBT podcast streaming live on Digital Stream Radio, where you can access that live stream every Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and you can do so by visiting digitalstreamradio.com. Our guest today has been rocking San Francisco for the better part of 15 years with her unapologetic and energetic performances. We welcome Maria Konner. She is now the author of Girl Shock. I dressed up as a girl on Halloween, but then she took over my life. And she's here to talk about that book. I love the title, by the way.
Yeah, amazing.
I love the graphics of the whole book and the pictures.
It's actually right behind you right now.
Right. It's amazing. So I'm super excited to have Maria Konner with us. My name is Tom, and I am your host. And I'm in the studio with the only host that could make it today.
Hey, y'all, Nick or Trish.
And just welcome you all to the dish section of today. So it's amazing. Yeah, I figured between two of us, there's no sense. The dish.
The dish?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just weird.
It's fine.
It's weird. How are you, Nick?
I'm good.
Oh, Nick has stories for us today.
Oh, I do?
You do. So I'm excited. I'm excited to get into the stories because Nick got something this morning.
I did.
First thing in the morning.
Very early.
And she took a try at it, and I don't know. So, but I'm going to let her talk about that experience. So, Trish, how are you, first and foremost?
I'm good. You know.
All is well in the land of Oz?
Busy as hell.
That's awesome. So why don't you tell us about your weekend? How exciting is it to be doing all of this craziness?
Yeah, no, my weekend was good. We didn't really do much because we thought a storm was coming.
Right.
I worked Friday, and Saturday I came over here for a hot minute, and then, yeah, that was it. But then today, it arrived. What arrived? Henri.
Henri. So you named this Henri. Okay.
I did. I named it.
Preach, speak.
I named it because of Henri, the hurricane. It came the day after. So I purchased myself a peloton.
She sure did.
Mm-hmm.
She sure did.
And I absolutely love it so much. I mean, today, so they came at 7 a.m. and dropped it off, and I was on the bike by 8, and I did a 20-minute workout or a 20-minute cycle session with Cody, who is one of the instructors, but he's gay, and I love him. And it was to Disney music.
First of all, so can you describe your instructor?
That's what I'm trying to do.
Okay, go for it.
So he's like super gay and super cute, and then like it was to Disney music, so he was like, you know, Frozen came on. He's like, I had to throw it in there,
of course.
And then at one point, the song from Moana came on. He's like, my husband made me put that in the mix, and I was like, it was just amazing, and it was like, it was fun, and it was only 20 minutes, and it kicked my ass.
So you remember a while back we had that episode with Dr. G talking about Peloton pelvis, right? Do you feel like you're in pain in the groin area as a result of your little 20-minute bike ride?
Tom, when I got here, I asked you to rub my taint.
Yeah, he did. Actually, when he walked in, he was walking in like a little bow-legged, and I'm like, are you okay, girl? She was going through it.
Well, you know what? You know what's funny? It's like, I have not worked out in a very long time, and I know that I'm out of shape, like mentally.
Right.
But then hopping on that bike and doing that 20 minutes today, like, it ended up being about 5.5 miles.
Right.
But I realized how out of shape I am.
Right.
Everything hurt. I was sweating like a whore in church.
I can only imagine.
It took me about a half hour to recover.
I mean, think about it. It's been what? How long has it been now since the pandemic? Almost 18 months?
Yeah.
You actually hopped on something.
I know.
18 months later. It took you 18 months to actually hop on something.
Well, I mean, it was
I'm proud of you.
expensive.
Yeah. Wow.
But honestly, I love it. And they have what they call the leaderboard. So you can see like where you rank with everybody.
Where are you?
Oh, God. Today, I think I was like
1,000.
No, there were, when I was riding, there were over 300,000 riders. And I think I ranked at about 150.
Okay, well, I mean, it's not bad for your first 20-minute run.
No.
But, you know, like everything else, just like riding a bike, you just have to keep at it and you get better. I think that you'll work up your endurance as you keep doing it every day.
Yeah, but the funny thing was, so my sister has a Peloton, and that's really like I've wanted one for a while. She got one, and she's like, Nick, you gotta get it.
She did.
Like, you gotta get it. You're gonna love it. She knows I love to spin. So I ended up getting it, and then she called me after my first session, and she was like, so did you do a beginner session? I was like, there are beginner sessions? And she was like, yeah. I was like, no, I just did a 20-minute with Cody. She was like, oh, he kicked your ass.
And sure did.
He did.
Cody.
Oh, my God, my taint.
And
Oh.
Cody's gay.
Cody is 100% gay.
That's awesome.
Yep.
And of course, obviously his choice of music was an indicator.
Well, he does he has a whole bunch of,
Different ones.
classes. And my sister today was like, tomorrow you should do the Spice Girls one. I was like, okay.
Oh, people of the world, bike up your life.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see. But
God.
I mean, it's only been one day, but it was great. I love it.
I think you're going to do well. Just stick to it. I know that you're committed. Obviously, you spent that much money to have it just sit somewhere just collecting like underwears and towels. It's just
literally, it's right next to my dining table, which is now my at-home desk.
Right.
So it's staring at me like I have to actually do it.
Right. It's going to happen.
It's like a guilt thing. It's like when you don't go to work or you call out of work.
Right.
That guilt that you get, that's
Right.
what it's like. And it's just staring at you all day long.
Right. It's in your face. It's like, come, sit on me, get on me, spin me.
And honestly, it's so nice and so fun. Like
I can see it now. You're going to riddle yourself into that bike every morning.
Oh,
pedal
100%.
me this, pedal me that.
100%. But the funny thing is like, it was my first time. And so about 15 minutes in, I'm like, oh my God, I don't know if I'm going to make it.
So this is what I want you to say every morning when you look at the bike. Pedal me this, pedal me that. I'm going to pedal on you because I don't want to be fat.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. Every day.
Yeah. I mean, my goal is to get back into my suit from Gala last year. So we'll see.
You'll get there.
Yeah.
You'll get there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's amazing what you do when you start moving your body. I just don't have any ambition to do that.
My body was like rejecting every moment of it this morning. Like, honestly, my body was like, what the fuck are you doing to me? And then I tried to walk upstairs. I got lightheaded. Like, it was bad. And I also learned that you need to hydrate before, during, and after.
Right.
Not just during and after. Because I started and I'm like...
I mean, watching the commercials alone makes me feel like, oh my God, I'm going to die on that thing.
Oh no, it's amazing.
So.
You would love it. You would literally love it.
I don't mind biking. I have really good endurance when it comes to my legs. I'll tell you a story. So about, I would say a decade ago, my friend Jack, my best friend, it was her birthday, and she had asked that for her birthday that I run the New Haven Road Race.
Oh, right. Yeah. That's coming up.
So they prepared for 6 months. I didn't prepare. I just kept eating my fatty foods, drinking myself into oblivion like I always did, blah, blah, blah. And that Sunday night, because the race is on Monday morning, first thing, I went to Partners and I drank and I got drunk. She was like, no, I'm going to stay home, blah, blah, blah. So I started, so when you go and you line yourself up, you have markers, right? You have like a 4-minute mile, 5-minute mile, 7-minute mile, 10-minute mile, 12, 20-minute mile. Depending on how good you are, you go to those markers, right? So I said, maybe I can bang this out in 10 minutes. So her and I and her husband went to the 10-minute mile. And so the race began. We started jogging. I wasn't about running. Ain't nobody got time for that. I jogged it. And we're running along. And, Jack eventually had to slow down a little bit and walk. So I walked with her. And then her husband went ahead and we sort of kind of lost him. And then I was like, well, Jack, you walk. I'm just going to keep jogging and I'm just going to keep going. I think I did probably be about 70 minutes. I was dead by the time I got to the end of that finish line. I downed 4 beers and ate 4 loaves of bread because, you got to eat carbs immediately after a race. And so they give you that at the end.
Yeah.
And then I'm sitting there like wondering where the hell is Jack and where the hell is her husband? And apparently they didn't finish the race yet. They came in. My time was better than theirs. And they prepped for 6 months. So, and I ran in high school. So, it was like muscle memory for me. But nonetheless, I was dead. Ugh. I was dead. Yeah. And I went drinking the night before. And I went to bed at 2:00 in the morning to wake up at 6 to be there by 7.
You're crazy.
Yeah. But I did it.
Yeah. No, this morning, because like last night, I ended up taking the night off work because the Peloton was coming at 7 a.m.
Right.
And I was like, you know what? I've got a full day of work. If I have to get up that early, I'm not going to go into work and work all night, get up, have this thing delivered, and then have to work a full day. And so I took the night off work, and then I couldn't sleep. And
right.
I think you're right. I think it was because like I was nervous about, waking up on time because they were coming so early. Right. Also excited about the Peloton coming in. And this morning it shows up, and I'm sitting there. I'm like, I'm exhausted. Like, I don't want to get on this bike right now.
But she got on it.
She got on it. But let me tell you, so you get shoes that come with the Peloton, and they click in, and I was like. I could not figure out how to click my fucking feet into the thing.
Dorothy, just tap your heels.
I know. And then the poor delivery guys, man. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. Apologies in advance for having to experience this first thing in the morning.
So I got a phone call. I'm going to tell you right now exactly what time it was. So I got a phone call today at 6:53 a.m. And I knew it was the Peloton, so I pick it up, and they were like, we're about 10, 15 minutes out. And I was like, oh, fuck, okay.
Death.
Literally, that's what these people heard. I roll out of bed. I start making coffee. They pull up, and I'm like, I'm sorry. This is what it is. I had my patches on my face. My hair was a hot mess. Like, they were like, ooh, girl. Like,
rough.
So bad. I mean, they got a nice tip, so it's fine, but.
Well. I would expect a nice tip too if I were subjected.
Yeah, the guy was laughing at me. He was like, "We'll be out of here soon. Don't worry."
And I know because she's slept in my house before, and I've woken up many a times to that.
Not pretty.
Yeah, she needs work in the morning.
Yeah, TLC.
So, I always say like Joan Crawford in that scene in the movie Mommy Dearest when she's like walking into the bathroom, she's got an ice machine under her freaking like basin, and she just throws ice in there and she just starts icing her face. I was like, you better work, girl.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, put it back to where it should be.
So I'm proud of you. I'm happy for you. As far as I go for the weekend, as far as my weekend, I know that I had mentioned we build a gazebo.
Not we.
Yeah, well, you supervised.
Yeah. Well,
and so we ended up building a gazebo, and it was up. And then, of course, while we were building it, the person who was helping me, not this one, says to me, that'll be fucked up if you get a storm next week and it blows it out of here. And then, of course, they announced that this freaking hurricane / tropical storm was literally gunning for New Haven. And I'm like, great.
100%.
Yeah. Now I'm running around trying to find anchors to anchor this thing into my patio, into the concrete. And we ended up doing it in time, and then nothing. I'm telling you.
So I worked on Friday night, and when I got up, I ended up texting you.
Right. What are you doing?
Something, yeah.
Right.
And you were like, can you come over and help me anchor the blah, blah, blah? I'm like, what the fuck does that entail? Like, I just got out of bed. I'm on my first cup of coffee.
That was seriously one of her questions. What does that entail? I'm like, does it matter?
I was like, we have to move that whole thing so you can drill and then So anyway, as a professional does, I arrived right when they were done.
Right. Appreciate it. crazy. But that was pretty much my weekend. But now it's secure and it's still there, thankfully. Really thankful that Henry, or whatever you want to call the storm, whatever it's called, wasn't bad for us. Obviously, there was a lot of damage on the eastern side of the state and into the state of Rhode Island, and our thoughts and prayers are with those that are suffering as a result of the high winds and waters, and we were really lucky.
Yes.
We dodged the bullet, so I'm grateful for that. Anyway, we've got a couple of stories that we want to mention, talk about, now that we've got that under wraps, and a lot of good news coming from the FDA. The FDA has officially approved the Pfizer COVID vaccine, has gotten full approval, which means that this leads now to the possibility of corporations, the military. I believe the Pentagon has already requested that all employees must. They're literally mandating the vaccine because it now has received that FDA approval, and it opens a window for really trying to get those numbers up there, right?
Yeah.
Companies can now say you must get the vaccine before you come back.
Yeah. Well, actually, my company, which was kind of cool, they are requiring people to get the vaccine before you go into the office, but at the same time, they said if you provide proof of vaccination, we'll give you an extra day of PTO or whatever it is.
Which is great. It's an incentive, right? And a lot of companies have been doing that. They've been incentivizing. Even local governments have been giving people, hey, we'll give you $600 or whatever if you get vaccinated.
One state that was like, we'll give you like $1 million or something.
Oh, they were doing a lottery. So every person that got vaccinated would get put into a lottery, and 4 people were being chosen to win $1 million each. I would have been on that. I mean, I was on the line anyway because, I didn't want to put my mother at risk. But this is good news. It means that, now the FDA has actually said that these vaccines are indeed safe. And with that stamp of approval, unless you have a waiver, I think it'd be best that you go and get vaccinated because it's only going to get worse if we don't do what we need to do.
Yeah.
And so,
it is so weird to me that kids under 12 can't get it.
Right. Well, now with the FDA approval, that may change because they're doing the trials now on the youngsters. I believe both Moderna.
On the youngsters?
On the youngsters, both Moderna and Pfizer, on children under the age of 12. And those trials haven't finished yet, but I'm sure that now with the FDA approval that, that's right around the corner.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're thinking about all these kids that are going back to school now, that are, especially in states where they're like trying to avoid these kids from like wearing masks, like Rob DeSantis in Florida.
Oh my God.
Asshole.
I don't even want to go down that road.
Right.
There is, I'm not going to mention names, but there is somebody that's very close to me in my life who I love very dearly, who is literally like my person besides you. And they were posting videos of like this guy talking about why masks are dangerous for people and dangerous for kids. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? We just went through a goddamn pandemic and you're posting this shit. And then I go further on this person's story and they have they're shooting an AR-15.
Right. I'm
like, you know how many kids that AR-15 has killed? And you're bitching about masks while shooting a gun? I was like, how do I even approach this?
Right. Sometimes, be like Frozen, like that Peloton song.
Let it go. Let it go.
Because at this point, it is senseless and useless to try to convince people that these vaccines are safe, especially given the rhetoric that the previous administration, I'm working so hard not saying that man's name, was, throwing around the fact that, the vaccines don't work and blah, blah, blah. It's all, fake and fake news and this and that. And now we're starting to see, the effectiveness of these vaccines. Because while some people are coming up with what they call breakthrough cases, the severity of their reaction is not as severe as it would be had they not been vaccinated.
Correct.
So that is that. So congratulations to Pfizer, to all of Americans and people around the world. Consider getting vaccinated. If not for yourself, do it for others. We have to do right by our neighbors and be mindful that this is dangerous. So, Nicholas, you have news, more political news.
Oh, am I going political or am I going?
Yeah, well, go political nice. I like this story.
Yeah, I want to end something.
Okay,
no.
well, go political. Well, go waiter nasty then.
Okay, good. All right. So, we have seen plenty of these before where people, don't tip,
Right.
or they, will write a specific note saying like, I'm not tipping because you're gay or you're trans or whatever it is. Anyway, this story hit me hard this weekend because I worked on Friday night and I had probably 50%, maybe a little bit more of my tabs were $0 in tips.
Right.
And I personally will never understand how you can go to an establishment, especially in America, where
tipping is the norm.
Is the norm, and that's how we make our money. And how you can ring up a tab 40, 100, 200 and leave nothing. Like it blows my mind. But that being said, the reason that this story hit me so hard was because like I kind of went through it this weekend, minus the nastiness that was on this fucking receipt. So anyway, a petty customer stiffed a waiter in Madison, Wisconsin. Instead of the tip, the loving Christian left behind a misspelled note. Service was good, but we don't tip sinful homosexuals.
Oh, God.
What would you do? What would you do if that happened to you?
As me being who I am, knowing the mouth that I have and the attitude that comes along with that mouth, I would probably be fired.
Oh, I would have been
100% fired.
I would have chased them the fuck out the restaurant.
I would have lost my job that day, and I wouldn't even give them the opportunity to get up from the table.
Honestly, though, like if your establishment that you're working for is behind you,
Right.
I don't think you would have lost your job. Like I went through something similar when I was in Massachusetts, and they were like, "Nick, you got to calm down." But we support you. You did the right thing, but you got to calm down.
Yeah, definitely.
And we know.
But here's the thing. So here's a remedy for stuff like this. There should be an automatic at least 15% gratuity, or maybe 10 automatic on any orders in the service industry.
Yeah, they normally do that for like parties of 6 or more.
Doesn't matter. It should be everything.
Yeah.
Right? Gratuity, if your job relies on gratuity, because you got to think about it. Okay, so minimum wage in some states went up to $15 an hour, but that's not the case for people who work in this industry. You make typically less because you rely on your tips to make up for the rest of that income.
And make $40 a shift.
Right. And this is allowed. And so some people may make less instead of making, like the minimum wage, they make like $4 an hour.
Or less. Yeah.
Or even less than that, and you make up your revenue in tips.
Yeah, when I was a waiter in Mass, I was making $2.25.
How long ago was that?
It was like 8 years ago.
Right. So by instituting a policy in where if you are a consumer and you're going into a restaurant or you're going into an establishment and where tipping is at least 80% of the person's salary, there should be an automatic 10% tip added to any tab. Period.
So there is a light at the end of the tunnel for this story, though. So in this case, the original bill where they left nothing was $142.95, which would give you about a $25 tip if you tip appropriately.
Right.
Anyway, so this gentleman named Eric Salzweldel, I think that's right, started a group called Do Good Wisconsin, and he's been raising money to help, pay for someone's gas or someone's coffee or people in need. Anyway, so he went to this restaurant and he had a tab of $45.10. And guess how much money he left for this waiter?
The tab?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Guess how much money he left on a $45 tab?
The $145 tab?
No. So
you're asking me to guess, bitch.
No.
Tell
So
me.
we had the $142 tab, right?
Uh-huh.
And they left no money. And then this guy that's been raising money for this good cause, buying people coffee, gas when they're in need, went into this restaurant for this server, had a tab of $45.10. What do you think he left?
Did he leave him $1,000?
He left him $4,500.
That's amazing.
And this was all raised money. So it's not like it's his personal money, but like amazing.
That's a gesture, and it's good. It's good, but it's still fucked up that you've got people who think that their religion allows them to put other people down, especially in public spaces like that. I mean, that's discrimination, whichever way you look at it. And it is, at this point, federally protected. There should be some, repercussions for people like that.
I mean, I can't. I know we have to go to break soon, but
Yes.
I can't comprehend how some a bigoted person could actually write that to somebody who's working so hard and serving them. You know what I mean?
But they do.
One time, I'll never forget it because I've been in the industry, obviously, my whole life. But one time, I had a really bad service at this one restaurant, and I left 10%.
Right.
And I wrote a note on the receipt, and I never do that. I said, look, I work in the industry. I never leave less than 20%, but I really have to tell you that the service was not good. And I still left money, though. I left
you're
10%.
nice about it, though. It wasn't discriminatory in any way. You expected a level of service, and that service wasn't provided, and you were honest about that. No different than going on Yelp and writing a review that was respectful, but voiced what your concerns were regarding the service. That gives the owner an opportunity to make changes to better service, to better the customer service experience. But when you're nasty like this is bullshit.
Yeah.
Bullshit. Utter bullshit. All right, well, listen, we want to be respectful. We do have a guest, and I'm excited. Yes, I'm excited for Maria Konner. She's going to join us shortly after our break. So we are going to leave you with some music, and when we come back, Maria Konner joins us. Here we go.
She was waiting by the back door, said, babe, we gotta leave town. Get your shit, get your suitcase, your dog, your guitar, cause we gotta go now, cause they're coming. Well, they know our fucking names, yes, they're coming, just the same. Well, I know you don't want to leave your life. You've had some blood and tears, little joy, little strife, but they're coming. Well, they're coming down the road, yes, they're coming, truth be told. And don't forget the whiskey, and don't forget your history. It was never their land in the first place, but they're coming just the same. Got a knapsack full of judgment, hypocrisy, and lies. And they're talking so much hateful bullshit, they've begun to gather flies. But they're coming. Well, don't look 'em in the eyes. Yes, they're coming. No surprise. And with so much terror in our past, how are you so surprised it's come to bite you in the ass? Yes, it's coming. Well, it's nipping at your heels. Yes, it's coming for the kill. And don't forget the whiskey, and don't forget your history. It was never their land to sell or trade. No, don't forget the whiskey, and don't forget your history. It was never their land in the first place, but they're coming just the same. So I'll meet you at the station where we can get on that train, head out to the wastelands where we can change our names, cause they're coming. Well, they know our fucking names. Yes, they're coming. Just the same. Just the same. Just the same. Just the same.
All right, ladies and gents, well, welcome back from the break. That, of course, was the amazing Amanda Barrick with her debut album, Wastelands, which is available on all the major music streaming services. Make sure that you go and support your LGBTQ plus artists, because that is important, and obviously it's good for her as well. Right now, we are here with our guest of honor today. We are joined by none other than Maria Konner. She is the author of Girl Shock. We want to welcome you, and thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Thank you so much. So excited to talk about what we share and how we're different too.
So
that's my theme.
Hey, listen, there's nothing wrong with that. We were having a conversation offline before we even went live on air, and you were talking about, hey, I want to talk a little bit about, anal sex and the differences and what it means to someone like me or someone who's straight or someone who might be trans or whatever the case may be. And I think it would be a really good conversation to have.
Yeah, because what I was thinking as I was watching you at a podcast, I think your last one about anal sex, is I kept thinking, I can learn a lot from gay men. I mean, I identify as a gay man, but my God, there's a whole possible trove of information and joy. And I'm like, but I'm not gay. Right, I'm trans, but so there's stuff we share and stuff that is different.
Right.
That's what made me think of it. Yeah.
Oh, and she has her cocktail too. We do too. We got to make sure that we're ready for what the day brings.
It's actually apple juice, but I am going to be off to martinis when we're done.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, listen. If it's apple juice, no one needs to know.
Yeah, it's apple juice.
Well, Maria, thank you.
Integrity to me and absolute honesty is utmost importance, unless I get caught.
Right.
I don't think I'm going to get caught.
Funny story. When I used to live in Massachusetts, and when I was working at this place, it was called Kripalu. I don't know if you know Kripalu. It's a yoga wellness center. And it was my last day, and I loved everybody that I worked with, but I wasn't really a fan of the company. And it was my last day, and we had this meeting, this staff meeting that I had to go to every week, where all the department heads would get together and talk about what's going on. And they were like, "You seem so happy today." And I'm sipping on my water bottle, and they were like, "What's going on?" I'm like, "It's vodka."
You told them. You did?
I wasn't really drinking vodka, but it was.
You did? Well,
it was just funny.
The jokes can go in all different directions,
Yeah, true.
So I'll tell you. Go ahead, dear.
Continue.
No, I was going to say, listen, let's talk a little bit about your book so that we can go ahead and let people know that you actually have this book, and it's what we're here to do, because then I want to talk a little bit about butt talk. So first and foremost.
It fits right into the topic.
Right. First and foremost, this is Girl Shock, and basically how you describe your cover is Girl Shock. I dressed up as a girl for Halloween, but then she took over my life. Let's talk a little bit about what this book is, and then we can move from there.
Yeah, and the subtitle is important because it says from straight to fabulous and naughty.
Oh, baby.
So I never felt like I was a woman. I was a straight guy, usual, until a little bit of kink here and there. And I mean, what straight guy isn't? Got divorced, was frustrated about living in the suburbs, just this tech guy living outside of San Francisco, and then got divorced and moved to San Francisco and was just going to go out for Halloween just to do something different. I mean, I didn't want to be moping around, complaining to my friends, I'm so unhappy, girls don't like me. I'm like, I don't even want to go there. I'm getting on an airplane, I'm traveling to a different country kind of thing. I'm like, I'm out of here, right?
Right.
And so so about 6 weeks before Halloween, I had this idea, well, let me just go out a lot because I want it to be an amazing Halloween. I'm gonna cross dress,
Right.
So I started going to the clubs, and I had so much fun.
Well,
but I mean, who doesn't?
I mean, but you got to realize where I came from. Imagine going from big loserhood. I wasn't a loser, just that I'm working in tech, living in the suburbs, hanging around with people who like to talk about wine and their lawns.
Right.
I mean, it was agony. I went from just sheer hating life, agony, victimhood, getting divorced. Straight women are a pain in the ass. Well, straight dating's a pain in the ass, not women, men too. But anyway, to oh my God, this is so much fun. And people are looking at me like, hey girl, you're fabulous. I'm like, you talking to me? It took me a long time to even accept that this was real.
So did you ever have any inklings when you were when you were married that this was, was this the reason your marriage failed, or?
No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, I've seen trans women before. Like, I grew up overseas, right? I'm from New Jersey, but my father ran safaris. He was a weirdo. Everybody in my town, either they were stockbrokers or they were mobsters, or they worked on Wall Street. My father ran safaris and took their money.
Okay.
Well,
and he was this zany guy, and we lived overseas, and I spent a lot of time in London. I saw my first transvestite there in Piccadilly Circus when I was 10 years old. And I had seen a lot of different things when I was a kid. I mean, he had diplomats all over. It was amazing going on safaris. My first thought was, yeah, you go, girl, you show them. I sense this freedom, this I can't even describe it. Maybe you guys know. Just this I'm going to do what I want to do. Fuck everybody else.
Right.
And that really, really turned me on.
There's a sense
so many ways
of strength and empowerment that comes with finding things that you're comfortable with and things that you can morph into, right?
Yeah. So I was aware of it at a young age. I mean, this thing I just described to you lasted maybe 10 seconds.
Right.
Wow.
Right. But it left me with such, and I think about how many children see me when I'm out playing piano. Golden Gate Park, I showed up, I walked into Golden Gate Park, they had these pianos there, and like 5 minutes later, I'm playing for 100 people. And I think about how many people have seen me, and I'm not anywhere near aware of the trail that I leave behind me. And this goes for everybody. I'm not just saying me, but I'm more aware of it.
Right. Because you're not only an author, you're also, you sing, you perform, you play piano. You are someone with so many talents and super talented too, and funny, by the way. So I knew that today's episode was going to be hilarious. So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah, and you're right. So when I went, so literally, the book title describes it. I mean, I don't even think I even need a description to go above and beyond that. I literally was like, I was getting divorced when, started going out for Halloween, had so much fun, opened up so many doors, transformed my spirit so much. It just never stopped.
But when you think about the path, right, from, being a suburban heterosexual male to now a trans female, when was that what happened? When was that moment that like shifted for you that you were like, this is me?
Yeah, that took a long time. What's weird is, just think of two aspects of it. One part of it did not take a long time, that I had a female side to me. That was very, very quick, because that was fun.
Yeah.
Right. It was like literally in the first week. I mean, I'm in San Francisco, so I mean, all these clubs, these drag shows. The fact that I could be a woman and have that part of me come out was very easy to accept. It was half of me, right?
Right.
But what really hurt was I met so many people as Maria, and whenever they met the dude, he's the guy in the book, like Bruce Wayne, I'm Batman or Batgirl, and he's Bruce Wayne. I was so invisible. And you could almost feel it from a superhero point of view, like when the Bruce Wayne meets the Joker.
Right.
Right. But he can't fight the Joker when he's Bruce Wayne. Right. You know what I mean? That's how I felt. I felt neutered. I felt so, and even women who really loved me as Maria, when they meet the dude, I'm like I'm taking off this mask. What a horror movie. Right. And although I didn't take any one of those personally, because I understood it, when it kept happening over and over again, and then I realized how much people loved Maria. And then people are like, remember, this happens over a 10-year period.
Right.
And I began to realize, well, maybe you're just happier when you're Maria. I'm like, well, I'm happier when I'm Maria because I'm not invisible. And they're like, well, maybe you're not invisible because you're happier.
Right.
And I'm like, at the end of the day, I realized it just doesn't matter. Right. When you say to yourself, I have this theory that when you discover who you are on the outside and reconcile with how other people perceive you on the outside, and you reconcile with who you think you are on the inside, that's when you discover who you really are.
Right.
It's when you reconcile those two. I don't choose how other people perceive Maria or Mark, or the dude.
Right.
But for some reason they like her better. And at some point I'm having more fun. At some point it just doesn't matter.
But the important question becomes,
I realized that I was trans.
All right. The important question becomes, do you like her better?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, I do. I mean, it's so much more fun wearing girl clothes.
Agreed. There's a lot more, fashionable choices. I mean,
Yeah, but the weird thing is, I do identify as a straight man, but I also identify as a T-girl, right? A
right.
trans woman. So when I'm a straight man, I don't like wearing nice clothes. It's very gay to me to wear nice clothes, quite frankly. I'm just a guy I belong in Ohio. I belong in hanging out with pilots. I'm a pilot,
Mm-hmm.
military people. He's a dude,
Right.
but I also like being a girl.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Everything's backwards to me,
Right.
So are you living? So you do identify as both. Wait. So you identify as a heterosexual man or a gay man? And
Heterosexual man.
okay, and then also a T girl.
Yeah.
So what is it like living? Do you feel like on a day to day, right? So what is it for you? Like how do you like? Is today Maria? Is today Mark?
Oh yeah.
Like
Good question. It's the dude. Call him the dude.
the dude. Sorry.
Yeah. Beep beep. No, it's not that big of a deal. It really depends on what I'm doing. If I'm going out to have fun, I am always Maria. Always. If I'm if I'm going out to perform, I'm always Maria. If I'm sitting at home, it's kind of 50-50.
Right.
Because I work at home like a lot of us do. So sometimes I just wake up and I'm like, I'm looking at my work schedule. I'm like, I got to be a real jerk today. I got to deal with some stuff. I'm like, I'd rather be Maria because I handle it better when I have both of us. Because when I'm Maria, I kind of have both of us.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of.
Right.
When I'm just him, I don't have her.
Right. But how do people react to that? Like, I mean, I think that for me, this is super fascinating because I know a lot of trans individuals that really, they identify as trans and that's how they live their life. And what I'm hearing from you is that you kind of embrace both sides. So so when you're at work or when you're interacting with people, like what is that like when the dude shows up versus Maria?
It's all remote. I work in tech.
Oh, okay.
I am 100% remote. I got teams in India.
So you're
Europe.
like, today I'm going to be a cunt, so I'm putting my face on.
Yeah, literally, I got to sometimes just really come down hard on people.
Right.
Okay.
And, there's ways to come down hard. Let's assume they deserve it, which unfortunately, it's a long story. I won't get into it. But let's just say they do, right? There's a good way to do it and there's a shitty way to do it.
Yeah.
And if I'm just him, if I'm just a dude, I'm just miserable. Life sucks when I'm a dude. Not through any choice of my own. I don't have her when he's sitting here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a lady next to me that I can cuddle. I go home to so I need her sometimes to keep me more balanced. Because when I'm trans, I feel a lot more balanced.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm a guy, I feel like the victim thing, all that bullshit just starts floating. Right. But that's the way I work. When I'm a guy, sometimes when I need to just get shit done.
Yeah.
The guy does it.
I will tell you, I love who Maria is as a person because I spent the better part of the last week watching a lot of your videos that you've been producing for all these interviews that you're doing and all these performances, which is why I know that you're an amazing performer and your piano skills are to die for, first and foremost. But I see how you interact with people, and so you're not your ordinary performer in the community, if we want to call it that. People, like you said in your bio, people expect Judy Garland. I don't want to give you that. I want to give you Black Sabbath. I want to give you this. I want to give you that. You're hardcore fun, gritty, and it's infectious, and I love it.
Oh, thank you. You should come to a live show. Where are you guys located?
We're located in Connecticut.
Oh, you are in Connecticut. I saw it in Atlanta or Southern. Yeah, great. I'm from New Jersey originally. Yeah.
Yeah, we literally just dodged a bullet with Henry or whatever we want to call that thing. But
well, thank you. Thank you so much, and that really means a lot to me. I really, really appreciate that you spent the time. But just to recognize, how important it is to sort of be natural,
right?
And to go deep, that kind of thing. It's the only way to describe it. I can.
Yeah. So if we can just dive into a little bit, what was the inspiration of putting your experiences on paper.
Yeah, probably the main inspiration. There's a couple ones. The main was just how fabulous the city is. I mean, I was having such an unusual life. It was just insane. It was just the city, the people, everything about it. I was like, and my friends were like, even some of my hardcore straight friends were like, they would stop. They would, even some of these Trumper friends, would be like, I still have a few left, right? So, they're talking about their politics. When I mentioned, hey, I'm thinking about writing a book about this trans thing, just they immediately changed topic. They don't want to talk about guns and politics anymore. Like, there were so many people that were curious. And as an entertainer, I know there are so many people that are curious. And I would get this sense of like, this was a big deal to them to hear this thing that either they're curious about sexually or spiritually, or to see this other world. I was like, I just knew that I had to do it. It's like this for the same reason that people like Maria better.
Right. Yeah.
I just realized in life, take the path of least resistance. When you have bad, negative energy, people in your life, just walk away from them. Yeah. Just don't even engage. Give money to Facebook,
Yeah, it's almost like, and we talk about this all the time, but it's almost like as gay men or as, a trans individual, we have a responsibility to be visible and educate people because especially right now with the trans community, they're under fire constantly. It's like, we need people like yourself to be out there telling their stories so that people understand it better.
Right.
Yeah, I think so. And I've worked with a lot of trans groups, and, people can roughly fit into two categories. One is that they think people should do this and people should do that. And a lot of that's true, but it's hard to disseminate that in a positive, energetic wave, so to speak, But other folks take the approach, I'm just going to get out there and just be my best self and mingle with other people and just have a good time and spread good energy.
Yeah.
And that is an indirect message, but the power,
right,
is so much more. And it's so hard to, unfortunately, in the community that's been persecuted, it's hard to get people to see that. And I think the main reason why I can do that, maybe, that I'm really good at that, is because I'm also a straight man.
Mm-hmm.
And I do get a lot of power out of that, just in terms of not like sort of like I'm going to conquer the world, but I have a lot of stability. I got a partner, I got somebody who trusts me, and it happens to be me.
Right.
He makes the money. He will just take care of things. He's a hatchet man if you need him to be. He doesn't like to do it, but he will take care of stuff and straighten stuff out. And it's strange. It's like I feel like I'm living in two different worlds. I'm hanging out with trans people who don't feel as secure as I do, but at the same time, I'm still a trans woman.
Right.
When you found yourself, walking through this awakening in your life, obviously at a later time in your life, what would you say to somebody? Because we've had, plenty of conversations surrounding blockers and hormone therapy, especially for kids that are under the age of 18.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to get your opinion and your thoughts on, like, how would you approach somebody if they were, say 14, 15, and they're like, this is what I'm thinking is going on. I want to, I'm thinking about going on blockers. Like, what would you talk to them about to help coach them through it?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's a real fascinating question. I mean, other than telling them to go see a professional,
obviously,
I would do that. But aside from that, I would probably say to them, two things. One is, what you're doing is great, and I would be very supportive. So that's obvious too. But what I would say to them is, I think you need to live freely as yourself for a while before you decide anything that would be permanent, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of these blockers and things, they may or may not be permanent. They may or may not be for you, and you should consider them. But consider just being yourself for a year, free of any people in your life that are not supportive, and really get to a good space first as yourself, see where that goes, and then consider the hormones and things like that. But just consider it. I'm not saying it's the right thing to do, but just, that's my opinion.
Right. It's amazing because, there's a lot of really good material in this book, and a lot of stuff that you go really deep into your path and how you got to where you are today. And you really talk about your experiences with people that you've met along the way, people that you've performed with. And one of the unique things that I noticed about your book, which I've never seen this in another book before, is that you have QR codes scattered all over this book, which take you directly to a performance that you're talking about, right? Or describing. So people can actually open their phone, scan the QR code, and it brings you to a YouTube video or some sort of like an informative place where you can go and actually experience what you're describing. It's incredible. I've never seen that before.
Thank you so much, because I originally conceived of it as an ebook, right? So I had the videos right in there, and then when I went to go to print, I said to my distributor, I don't understand why people don't have a multimedia print book, because I mean, you know, we live in 2020, 21, you know, right? So that's why, and nobody knew anything about it. I'm like, this is ridiculous. How could, I was looking for like templates or the proper way to do this, and everybody I talked was like, well, nobody's ever done that before. I'm going to do it.
That's amazing. I mean, it's groundbreaking because it takes the level of interaction with a paper book, with a hard copy book, and now you're incorporating different avenues and ways in which people can experience your experience. Right.
Yeah, and I also wanted people to see the Under the Golden Gate series, because I have like over 600 videos.
Right.
And you really get to meet other people in the community. And if I were to say if there's one reason why I really wanted people to see the videos, is I don't want to, at some point you don't want to be hearing me saying it. I want you to hear from the people that inspired me.
Right.
You know, they're part of the story.
That's amazing.
And I'm proud of them. I'm really proud of them. Truly.
That's
they're like my family.
This is revolutionary stuff right here. I mean, what you're doing and incorporating, you know, a digital aspect of that right from the hard copy is awesome. Honestly, I've never seen that before.
I really appreciate that. You know, and and it was really great. You know, and I met so many amazing people, and I even have a few rock stars in there too. Which of course I end the book with rock and roll wisdom.
Rock and roll wisdom.
So I have one more personal question before we move into butt stuff or anything else you want to talk about the book. But my last personal question is, you know, you talk about coming from this heterosexual suburban lifestyle. When you left that world, did any of that world come with you? Are people still supportive of you in that world?
Good question. Yeah, first of all, the short answer is they're absolutely supportive of me. I mean, that I was really, really surprised how I can't even think of anybody. Here's funny. I can think of one person. I can only think of one distant friend who went negative on me, right? Ironically, he's also the same guy I busted at Divas, the transsexual bar. You know, I don't think I need to say more about that one. The irony was some of the guys, the military guys, the ones who I was like, if I come out to them, you know, they're probably going to, you know, like one guy, this guy, Steve, he's like a man's man, you know, the Midwest, you know, and his reaction, I'm expecting him to disown me. He goes, dude, that's fucking awesome. And he wanted me to dress him up. He picked a girl name. I'm like, everything was the opposite of what I expected. The problem is there's a downside to that, or darker side, which is that I think some folks are afraid to come to a show. You know, when they come to visit the city, like, you know, God, you've been here 4 times. Every time you made a reason why you couldn't come, because they're either afraid or they feel like they might get caught. Right. You know, other folks are like, oh, they're all over it. You know, so there's this sense. I definitely get a sense of fear in some people. Right. Probably because they probably think they have all these images from Hollywood of what this means for me.
Yeah. It's actually so beautiful to hear you say that, because I feel like, you know, a lot of people have not so great stories about coming out and losing a lot of their past relationships and a lot of their friends. But
I'm very lucky.
But I feel like your energy and the way you embrace Maria, I could, like, if
it's infectious.
If I were your friend, I'd be like, no, they finally found themselves. That's
probably true. There's probably a lot of truth to that, because the one thing the one premise I had started from the very beginning was, I am not going to be in the closet about this thing. No effing way.
Right. Right? And you shouldn't have to.
And I just had a history in my past. Like, come on, I spent a lot of time in Africa. I went on safaris and shit when I was a kid. To me, just taking it out and just like boldly going, grabbing the lightsaber out. Like one of my favorite sort of images or memes would be when somebody starts fucking with you. Whoosh,
That's
all
right.
right, let's do it.
Honey, you brought the lioness home from Africa.
Yeah, and I admired those lionesses. That's a whole other thing. But I think that in part of it is because I decided to do that. Now, could everybody do that? Probably to a large extent.
Yeah.
Because when you just literally just direct your energy at people who are positive and just say, it's the serenity prayer. God grant me the serenity to accept things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference, right? It's like, if you live that and and I think that's what really helped is that I had the choice. I just would not engage in anybody who was negative. I just won't.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that certainly comes through in your work. Like I said, I went into a Maria Konner rabbit hole. I was like, video after
It was like
video.
TikTok. He wouldn't stop texting me.
I was like, oh my God, you got to see this video.
I'll meet up with you and buy you some drinks.
Oh my God. If we're ever in San Francisco and, we've got a very large following in California. And I think, eventually we'll get out there and do some sort of live show. But if we're ever down there, we have to come and see you perform because you are truly gifted and talented.
Sure.
So, and we'll definitely post a lot of the videos on tonight's post so that people can see and experience Maria Konner in her element. It would be great and amazing. And you do, a lot of the people that you're interviewing, the things that you're doing, your work at Folsom, by the way, is just incredibly creative and funny. I just have to tell you that.
Those original songs, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think Tom might be falling in love with you.
Oh, why not? Why not? So great. The book, Girl Shock. We're gonna definitely make sure we have a link where you can grab the book and read it for yourself. It's basically your story. This is your journey when moving to San Francisco, and I think there's a lot to gain from what you've written in this book. And also, don't forget to scan those QR codes and watch those videos because those are great too.
And MariaKonner.com. You can get the with a K, MariaKonner.com, and you can get the book. It's an ebook on Amazon and Apple and Barnes and Noble, or you can get the print book. If you get the print book, better order from my distributor because then we don't give the channel too much money.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
but go to bookstores. You know something? I support bookstores too. You know something? Forget what I just said. Go to the bookstores.
Right.
The independent bookstores, yeah.
I look at it this way. We got you, girl. We're going to have all the links, where people can find the book and obviously your information stuff, all of your social media presences. So if they want to engage with you, they can do that as well. And now we can talk about butts. So what do you got, girl? What do you want to know?
So there are a couple of things I haven't really done to my satisfaction.
Okay.
I haven't given two guys. I haven't done enough butt sex, right?
Okay.
And when I was listening to the last podcast about it, I realized that there's a certain the freedom about having it, being able to have butt sex and have intimate sex with a guy for me, that almost like I feel like I'm a teenager, maybe who's trying gay sex for the first time. I don't know. I was thinking about that, how much I can learn from gay men, and the fact that we share something here very intimate, even though I'm not a gay man. Right. And I was wondering the feelings that I feel about learning more about butt sex and having more and getting into that. What I can learn from guys like you, but while also sharing our different perspectives on intimacy with men. Mm-hmm. What do we have in common, and what is different, and what can we learn from each other or experience, joy by just taking our perspectives. That's what I'm thinking about, that topic.
Well, first and foremost, it's very important to recognize that the ability to use your anus or your butt as a means to pleasure yourself is universal. Yeah. It's not specifically for gay people or trans people or straight men or women. Anyone can really find pleasure in playing with your anus if done correctly.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of straight men, by the way, are afraid of that pleasure.
If only they knew. If only they knew that by stimulating your butt and the possibility of engaging with your prostate would probably result in very amazing orgasms, they'd probably change their mind.
Look, if it's done right, I don't even have to touch myself.
Really? Wow.
100%.
So I am curious though, however. So you, as the dude, identify as a straight man, and then as Maria, you identify as a trans woman. So if
And a bottom. And a bottom.
and a bottom.
Oh, proud of you, girl.
So my question becomes, if you were to explore the possibility of going into anal sex, would you do it as straight the dude, or would you do it as Maria?
Definitely Maria. There's no doubt. I've done it a few times, right? But each time it was difficult, it hurt, and I was able to do a little bit of penetration. You read about it in the book, right? But I'm still in first grade.
Mm-hmm. So
I shouldn't use children's terms, but you get the idea.
So what I would say to you is if you're having a hard time with actually receiving the full penis and the full experience, do you play with toys at all? Any
I've played around with dildos.
Okay, any butt plugs?
No, I haven't done blood plugs.
Okay, so if you they even at bespokesurgical.com, I think they have it, or futuremethod.com, they have different sizes, right? So you can literally get a butt plug and put it up inside yourself before you play, and you can gradually work up to a larger size if need be, but you really need to relax your anus before you accept it, because what's happening is you have pretty
Tissue,
much three
muscle.
layers of muscle that you have to get through. The first one is the easiest one, but then you're gonna hit the last two, and that's when your body's gonna clench up and push everything out until you relax. So using a butt plug will help you beforehand.
You know what I need? I think I need that's good advice, right? And what I was thinking was, if I had, the problem is girls like me, for whatever reason, or me in particular, I don't really have a steady guy. I had a few, but it's hard having a steady guy. And to me, having a guy, do anal on me is kind of getting intimate, right?
Right.
Mhm.
Right. Meaning kind of like somebody I see on a regular basis.
Right. Yeah.
Just because I want to work slowly. I don't want to be with somebody, come on, open up. I want to get laid. I want somebody, right? They can enjoy the ride with me and would be patient, right?
And
of course, doesn't everybody want that? But then that means I'd have to have a relationship with a man, that kind of relationship with a man, which I'm open for. But the very idea of having that kind of relationship with a man as a straight man is a very new experience. It's the
Right.
intimacy.
Yeah.
Well, that's the beauty of our community, though, right? Fluidity, right?
Yeah.
When you get to that point, maybe the dude is going through a phase in where he wants to be more fluid.
Yeah.
Right. So as a person,
Continue.
as a person, your experiences and who you think you are is constantly evolving, and maybe the dude is going through this phase in where he wants to maybe see if he needs to evolve to give Maria a run for her money.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's a good point. So if I were a gay man, it would be easier for me to have that kind of relationship, just to attract somebody, just because of the sheer probability. But since he's a straight man, would never even do that. I don't even know if I could do that. I don't know.
Well, I have to say one thing. I mean, when it comes to Tom and myself, we're different in the sense that, I mean, we joke on the show all the time that I'm a whore, but I'm really not. Like, I generally don't have sex unless I'm in a relationship. It's very intimate to me. I also think that kissing is more intimate than sex can be, or penetration, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So it takes a lot for me to have a one-night stand. I've had a couple over the years, but nothing crazy. Mainly, it's, generally I'm in a relationship. So I completely get where you're coming from, with the exception of, the T-girl versus the hetero male.
That little quirk.
Have you ever thought about having a female partner put on a strap-on?
Oh, I have had that. I had two women. Can I use terms like "fuck me in the ass"?
Oh, of course.
Yeah, of course.
You can say motherfucker.
I had two girls
everything.
fuck me in the ass. You know what it is? I'm not attracted to men. I like feeling like a woman.
Mm-hmm.
Right? There's nothing to me like, I'm not interested in a woman fucking me. I want a man to fuck me because it makes me feel like a woman.
Right.
It makes me feel, I like being taken away from the straight world. I like neutering him, the dude.
Yeah.
Well,
And if I do it with a guy, every time a guy comes in my mouth, and soon, hopefully, the more guys that fuck me in the ass, the weaker he gets.
Mm-hmm.
right.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm private. I'm not saying that other people should treat their male side that way. I'm just saying that's what I want for whatever reason.
And that's important, right? What you need as a human, as an individual, is very important. And whether those experiences are happening to the dude or they're happening to Maria, in the end, they're still your experiences, right? And
Yeah, I'm sorry.
You should, you know what? There is a great podcast. It's called, what is it? Bi Curious?
By the by podcast. And these guys, we've had them on the show before. They're amazing. They're a married couple, and they interview a lot of bisexual couples that are, some of them are swingers, some of them are not, but expanding the concept of what intimacy and sexuality could be for you, even if it is a woman and a man in the bed with you, can maybe make that experience more relaxed, more comfortable, more intimate. Or maybe you find somebody that you can swap with, that you can have a consistent relationship with, right?
Yeah, these are really good points. And these are the kind of things where another big thing I found out in life is that when you want to get to, sort of like a mid-level of achievement, where you're on anything, fulfillment, you don't have to work that hard. You just have fun. Everything's good. But when you want to get to the next level, there's a point when you have to seek it out. Right. And I'm so used to, getting to that first level, like just being myself, that sometimes I forget to actually seek something out and make an effort to do it. And that's really good advice. Because I do have some friends that know some sex clubs and just swinger type things. And I send them an email and get back to me, but I can just easily just send them another one instead of just giving up.
Yeah. I mean, literally one of my closest friends is bisexual, and he has been through the gamut of looking for different communities to find a way to not only maintain his relationship, but satisfy himself. And it's been tough for him, but he has found different communities in different areas where he's lived. And I think that there is a community, and there's, a sexual need for everybody. I think that maybe that's a pathway for you, or maybe you just need to find somebody and get fucked real hard.
And I know. It's like, I'm thinking like, so maybe I just need to be a gay guy or something like that. I don't know.
But see, here's the beauty of this. You can be whatever you want. You've already proven that, right? Mm-hmm. By taking that courageous journey and becoming Maria, you prove that you can be whatever you want to be. Mm-hmm. And no one can tell you that you are not who you know you are. Right?
I want to be, you know what I want to be? You're right. I want to be a T-girl who fucks a lot of guys.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
100%.
And those experiences, whether they happen to the guy or the dude, or they happen to Maria, they're still yours. And they're for you to enjoy. And you can make it whatever you want to be. So, I mean, if you want to get fucked up the butt by a guy as Maria, great. That's an amazing experience. But if you think that, the dude at some point in time is thinking, maybe I have a little bit more fluidity in my sexuality, and I want to explore this as well, there's nothing wrong with that.
And I will say that there is a whole, we know plenty individuals like this, but there is a whole demographic for men who don't necessarily identify as gay men, but enjoy and or seek out relationships with T-girls because they can get everything they want in that. They can get the femininity. Yeah, they can get the femininity, they can get, the masculinity, they can get everything they want in that one experience. Right. So, I mean, they're out there.
Well, another motivation for me writing the book, too, was I know from experience that there are a ton of straight guys who want to explore.
Oh, right.
Straight girls who want to read about it. Like I tell people jokingly, and I'm really actually serious, but I make it a joke, the biggest untapped market on the planet is the curious straight person.
Oh, yeah.
Agreed.
We're talking about 80% of the population, of which 80% is untapped. They're afraid.
I can tell you that the majority of your first experiences in life when it comes to sexuality, especially in our community, are with self-proclaimed straight men.
Oh, is that right? Yeah. I know a guy who his specialty is hooking up with gay men, is hooking up with straight guys.
Yeah.
And that's a thing.
And they always say they really, really enjoy it. They really appreciate the sex. It's so much fun.
And it's hot. I mean, there was a point in my life.
Hot, yeah.
There was a point in my life where I had sex with more straight men than gay men. Now that scale has tipped.
Right.
But there was.
You said you weren't a whore, right?
What?
I thought you said you weren't a whore.
I'm not a whore. I mean,
Not
it was
anymore.
okay. Like it was consistent sex with individuals that were straight.
Okay, got it.
Right. Me, on the other hand, I was very promiscuous at my in my youth, and I loved it. You know,
In your youth, bitch, you put your butt out the bathroom window during
no,
COVID to get fucked.
No. I had the person put the butt through the window so that I could do the fucking while COVID was happening, so that we weren't in the same space. Get that right.
You know what I want to ask? There's one more thing I definitely want to ask before we. How much time we have left?
Whatever time you need, babe.
Okay, good. So this is another thing that I was thinking about. So I was thinking about the things we have in common, like, you know, butt sex can be fun and be yourself and all that kind of stuff. But I thought about what's different, right? And I thought to myself, when I have butt sex with somebody, there's a certain level of freedom that I feel from not being straight. Right. I'm not attracted to men. I'm not really into the dick. I love the freedom, because I don't know if you realize how much easier it is to get laid as a gay man or a trans woman than a straight man.
Oh, of course.
Do you guys have any idea? Do you really, really understand that? Viscerally, you grok it. Do you know what grok means?
No.
Explain.
What's that?
Explain.
Grok is a little code word that a lot of sci-fi people like. The book Stranger in a Strange Land by Robert Heinlein from the 60s described grok as not just understanding, but drinking in somebody's soul.
Okay.
So you really, really get it.
Mm-hmm.
You can experience it through them, and you can deeply understand decisions they make and why. That's what it means to grok something.
I feel like I do that every time I like perform oral sex.
Oh yeah.
Like I grok everything. Like I absorb
that's a
that
good
human.
one.
I suck
grok
it all in.
your nerve. Well, the first time I sucked a dick, that I couldn't believe that the rhythm, the big vein. Anyway, let me get back to my topic. So
no, I think you're 100% right. I think it's also, you have to look at it like this. I mean, it's in the gay community, at least, we're men. We want to have sex all the time. We think about sex constantly.
But do you know what it's like to be a straight man who almost never gets laid and is always frustrated?
I'm a gay man who hasn't gotten laid in over a year and a half. I get it.
Oh, you do? But still, the numbers, like sometimes I would go for 5 years.
It's much easier in the gay community or in the LGBTQ plus community to engage sexually, because by nature, our community is a very open community. We like to engage people, and we're very touchy-feeling, and we're very engaging physically, mentally, emotionally.
Yeah, I don't have any of that as a straight man. So I was wondering, to me, getting fucked in the ass and being able to take it is about freedom.
Mm-hmm. So why do you feel like
from straight relationships?
Why do you think that you go so long without having sex? Is it because of that intimacy aspect where you don't necessarily want to open yourself up to somebody for a one-night stand and you can't find somebody? Like, what is it that holds you back?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, my short answer is at some point it doesn't matter. That's where I go with where the universe has led me, and I don't try to figure these kind of things out. But I have asked myself that question in the past, right? And I really don't know the answer. I can say to you that the dude very much prefers, is a very romantic person and doesn't like flirting at all. Mm-hmm. It's not really into one night stands. I've done them, but I really, really cherish romance very much. It's very, very deep. I'm a musician, right? You know, I play jazz piano. It's very, very precious to me, and that has actually hurt me so much. That I just I can't go there anymore.
Right. When it comes to the actual act of like intercourse or sex, would you prefer to be the dude or Maria?
Oh, I definitely prefer to be the dude with a woman. Oh yeah. I tell people ask me how would I describe I actually wrote about this in the book. One at the very end, how would I summarize my sexual experiences to date? Right? I would say, for me, this is just me, the fantasy of being with a man or a T-girl is much better than the reality. For me, I'm not really wired to be with men. I don't really like the way they smell. I don't like the way they feel. I don't really like touching a man. So the fantasy is really what I'm after, right?
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to women, as a man, honestly, it's really sad, but it's true. The reality of being with a woman, for me, is so much better than the fantasy. You know,
So
but I don't have a lot of opportunity.
Well, and you know, and there's nothing there. It is what it is, right?
It is what it is.
I'm really feeling this.
Frustrating. Yeah.
I'm honestly really feeling this like swinger by track for you. It makes sense.
Okay.
It makes sense to me because you can be the dude, be with a woman and a man at the same time and find yourself to be vulnerable enough to not only fuck but be fucked in the same space.
Yeah, maybe. I've never done that. I don't think I'd want to do it with somebody I was romantically involved with, right? Just because I kind of just want to be I prefer to just be in a straight relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Very simple, traditional straight relationship. I just happen to have this other thing I do, you know, but I don't know.
all I can say is this: the world is your oyster.
Mm-hmm.
Let that thing
Yeah,
open up.
that's the part that I'm too caught up on.
Right. It's
I'm afraid of what she's going to think of him.
but again, these are your experiences. So all you have to do is just try something and go for it. And
I actually had that. I actually was comfortable with that with my dominatrix. I have my dominatrix. I wrote about in the book, and she's a genetic woman. Her name is Eve Minax, and she's a fantastic person. She's just such a, you know, she's a professional dominatrix, and I was very comfortable seeing both sides. And I was romantically interested in her, but she wasn't interested in the dude. Every time I came over as the dude, she wanted like to put makeup on me, and I didn't want to be with her as a man. I'm as a woman. I wanted to be with her as a man, but she didn't want me there as a man. I'm having the same problem right now.
Yeah.
right.
Same problem I have. It's ridiculous.
It just sounds so tough to me, honestly. I mean, like, you clearly have embraced Maria, and she is very important to you, and she really brings out so much power in you. But there is this other side of you that needs to be fulfilled as well. So, I mean, you're in this weird place where it's like you're constantly teetering with, you know, how can I fulfill, you know, both Maria and the dude? How can I move forward in life and like find love and also do this when it's okay or when I want to and be this when I want to? I think you're in I'm not gonna lie, like a difficult spot. This has been a really interesting and awakening conversation for me.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, because it's like, thanks for being my therapist for an hour, right? I actually end the book with this question. Because and I do say, that if I had the sex change, that could mean just getting breasts or getting everything done, that would take care of the problem because I wouldn't have to be faced with this dilemma.
Right.
Right. And then at the end of the day, the only reason that would stop me from seriously considering right now is it's so much easier to make money as a man.
Right. I mean, there's a lot of things that are facilitated by having and being male in certain spaces, right? And it's interesting that you mentioned that because the way this book ends, it's sort of kind of like open-ended, right? Like you want people to sort of kind of help and contribute in your story and how you move forward. And I think that's also an amazing thing to do.
I was curious at the end. Part of my motivation, this wasn't the primary motivation, but I realized at the end, I presented with the audience with two options. I would like to hear what people think I should do. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that'll influence me. It probably will. I'm more of a curiosity,
right?
But there may be some wisdom that comes out of it,
right?
Because one thing I learn about life, and we all do, is that don't solidify your expectation of where your life's going to go and what it's going to mean.
Right.
Don't cling on to anything. And I never seriously considered ever becoming a woman with breasts and everything. But that shouldn't stop me from considering it.
Right.
Right.
Right. Well, like I said, life is fluid and we are forever evolving. And all I can say to you, my contribution to an additional chapter of this book, an addendum if we must, is to say that do what makes you feel good, because life is short. We're not here way too long.
Yeah,
and
that's
so
right.
if something
And
feels
I
good,
actually have
do it.
Yeah, that's very similar to the rock and roll wisdom I got at the end. But the woman I was interviewing, the rock star I was interviewing, I won't name her, added a little extra to that, and it really is. I put her at the end, her quote at the end, because I realized this was amazing. Hearing, I literally said, I'll tell you what the question was. I'm sitting next to a rock star, and I'm interviewing her. It's on video. Right? I don't know if you saw that sequence. The last
on
video
videos,
in the book.
No. I mean, I saw you interview a lot of individuals in the videos, but I'm not sure if I got to the rock star.
Yeah. So this was the last video in the book. And I said, wow, I'm sitting here with a rock star. I've always wanted to ask a rock and roll star this question. What does rock and roll mean to you? And she paused and she was clearly thinking about it. And wow, did it pack a punch.
Yeah.
So simple. Of course, you have to buy the book to hear it.
Yeah. You know, I think, and what I would say to you is that, as both myself and Tom and everybody that normally sits at this table with us, life is a journey, and we should never settle, and we should always accept that we're constantly changing. And I love the fact that you're so vocal about how you've embraced that. Like you're literally in this moment of, or you have been in this moment of growth and change and acceptance of different parts of yourself. That takes a lot. That takes a lot to go through. And a lot of people don't understand. Like a lot of people will just shut that side off. But like, we really need to continue as individuals to grow and embrace whatever it is that we face in a year from now or 5 years from now, because you never know who you're going to be.
Right.
And the thing is interesting, my first thought of that is that we all can do that, but I got to really think about how fortunate I was to have so many people around me that were supportive. My father for taking me around the world and just being a zany guy. My mother for giving me basic fundamentals. My family for supporting me. San Francisco for being here. The San Francisco community for being so fabulous. People like you for asking really great questions, being really interested in history, in our history and the gayness and the trans, but at the same time having fun. It's really been a blessing.
Yeah, this has been,
and I was able to do this.
Yeah, no, you're amazing. This has been an amazing conversation, and we're definitely going to have you back on 100% really because we need to follow up on all of this.
Right. I feel like there's a couple of more chapters.
My point is if I can be successful enough where I can get a job or do something as Maria where I don't have to have the dude making money, that would hopefully be the next big part of the.
Well, I'll tell you this much, Miss Maria. There are a lot of LGBTQ centered in corporations and entities out there that are looking for nothing more than someone that can help them out on the IT side. So don't sell yourself short. Keep your horizon, in front of you so that you can see that, stay level, and follow it, because out there somewhere, there's no one. There's nothing more than someone looking for someone like Maria that brings that talent, that expertise, but also is such an amazing, beautiful, and joyful and spreading joy type of person. And I think that you could actually do both.
Yeah, that would be great. Thanks for the thoughts. I mean, it's like my viewpoint is I wish that doesn't have to be tech.
Yeah, no, I was literally going to follow up what Tom said, saying that I don't think Maria is tech. I think Maria is a speaker. I think Maria is a consultant. I think Maria is somebody that is going to go out there and make waves and teach people what it means to be fluid and what it means to be T and hetero and what this all means for families and kids that are growing up with these concepts that they don't understand. Maybe Maria is 100% different from the dude. Maybe Maria is a force of change in the world.
Yeah, it's an interesting idea. So it's like I love both the ideas, and it's like, and the truth about tech is that there's always going to be tech in a lot of big things. Right. It doesn't necessarily have to be like hardcore tech, and that's really inspirational what you both said. I mean, it really, it's like we're so used to being victims. Like we go through three phases in our life, the way I see it. And I'm hopefully entering the third phase. And always the first and third phase are very similar. First phase is you're young, you're very optimistic, you think anything can happen, you think you're here for a purpose, you believe in Star Wars and the Force and all that good stuff, right?
I do.
And that's what keeps you going in times of, stress or uncertainty. Then you enter the world and you realize the world's all fucked up, and I don't have to explain that one to you. Right?
You go through shit,
and then you do all these creative things, these other things of passion. Nobody cares what you're doing. It's all bad, and then you get jaded, and it's that and the other thing. And then if you make it to the third phase, which a lot of us don't, you realize that what you thought in the first phase is actually true, right? It's just that nothing's perfect and that you've learned so much in the process and you have more power than you think you have to stay with things that are positive. That when you enter that third phase, you see the beautiful child and the spirit we all share, but at the same time, you see the jaded guy, almost like the girl and the guy, and you need both of them.
Right.
100%. I'm jaded as fuck, and I'm broken and hurt, and I've been through hell and high water, just like Tom. But at the end of the day, every time I walk away from something like a bad situation where you lose a loved one or you come out and you get kicked out or whatever it is, there's always, whether it's 6 months, a year, 2 years, there's always a silver lining. There's always something you learn from it, and you can take and walk away from take and walk away from that, situation and be like, that made me a better person, and that made me the person I am today.
It's weird because for me, phase 3, and I'm slowly emerging as I'm getting older now into that.
Girl,
new
you're
phase.
in phase 4.
Oh, she's nasty. I will cut you, bitch.
It's time to just hedonism before I die, right?
No, but the interesting thing is that as I'm emerging into phase 3, I'm starting to look back at all the shit that happened in phase 2, and I'm like, what the fuck was I thinking? Why did I let that affect me? Right? You get to that point in time where you're just like, I don't give a fuck anymore. Like, I'm going to worry about me. I'm just going to really enjoy my friends, those people that I've allowed to be in my inner circle. And honestly, why did I have to think that was all serious? So I'm seeing a lot of that, but you're right. There's a lot to be learned from phase 2 in your life, right? Because those moments are what gives you the strength to make it to phase 3. And teach you.
And then what helps in phase 3 is what you guys basically just did to me, is that you reminded me of that I'm great. We're all great. We all have the potential to just, do these wonderful things with our life, and, to be reminded of it. You're in phase 3, it needs constant reinforcement, especially as you're entering phase 3. And so talking to you guys and just hearing, your deep questions and deep, thoughts on this is really, really, really powerful for me. It's like, even as an entertainer, I still love when people tell me they enjoyed it,
Well, I'll tell you this much, Miss Maria. The fact that this exists is going to change some young person's life that's going through the very exact thing that you went through. Your life experience is in this book. Yeah. And if you can take away one thing, is knowing that eventually someone's going to read this book and it's going to change their life for the better. So
yeah, it's right. And the funny thing about it is they don't even have to be trans.
Yeah. Right. No, you're right.
Right.
So
it's because to me it's universal themes. It's themes about male versus female. To me, it's a male versus female thing. And really, really appreciate that. Appreciate the time, you guys.
So I always do this, and Tom hates it, but I have 2 more things.
Right.
So first, what are your hopes and dreams for this book?
Yeah, good question. I think if I would love to do just what you were describing. I would love to be able to speak in front of people, to use it as a way to just, I'd love to just travel around the world, with my guitar and piano and just, meet people and speak with them and, use this as a way to, to get an audience to talk to folks, that would be the dream. How I make money, figure that out. Plus I can work remotely in my job anyway.
Right.
And and the last thing I want to say to you, and I know you said it a couple times, is that the dude makes the money. Well, let me tell you, honey, the world is changing, and the women can make the money. Believe me.
That's right. That maybe she can do it in a way that is, is much more fulfilling.
Yeah.
I just got to believe in it. I have to believe it's possible, and have a little patience.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I mean, women are taking over the world, and you are at the perfect time to embrace it.
Right. Seriously.
You're right. I really think I used to be a lobbyist too, right? As a man. And I can tell you, I can assert this with a high degree of confidence that if we don't find a better male and female balance, in other words, more women are in power and more men allow their feminine side, or the men who are more feminine can get more powerful. If we don't do this, we're all gonna die.
Right.
We need to do this.
We need to embrace our differences.
Lobbyists too.
Yeah, if we don't embrace the differences within ourselves, then the world won't change. We won't grow as a people, and we've already seen it with Black Lives Matter. There are movements happening around the world because we are starting to say, no, you need to embrace my difference. You need to embrace the reality that I am, yes, human, but I am not like you because I have this difference, but we are alike because of this.
Right.
And that's why we need to be together and work together. So
I consider that to be a feminine characteristic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's something you can't prove. I can't prove that that's important.
Yeah.
That's the feminine. You can't prove that the feminine nurturing and the loving is as important, if not more important, than the male getting shit done.
I will say, oh my God, we're gonna keep going. We gotta end this show. But I will say that there's an amazing TED Talk, and I talk about it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I talk about it because the way it's presented, there's a doctor, and he has 5 kids. The oldest one is gay. Now, through his TED Talk, there's a lot of research about the fact that usually the youngest child of a large family is gay. And if historically you look at that, it's because at a certain point, the family needs to stop breeding, right? And have somebody that's going to keep the family together and nurture. So that person becomes gay. Now, in this circumstance, the oldest son was gay, and that happened because in his circumstance, the mother was going through chemo and had cancer when she was pregnant and needed healing and love. And so the oldest son was gay. So it's all about hormones. So I really think that you're right. I think it is the feminine characteristic. And I think that the LGBTQ plus community and the gay community are so very vital. And that's why we haven't evolved out. We haven't, if there was something wrong with, our community, we would have been, it would have evolved out. But we haven't evolved out because the world needs healing and love and community and connection. And so I really think that's why, the gay community is so important.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I could talk about this for hours, but
it's an important part of evolution.
Right.
It's part of evolution. It's part and parcel.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm totally going to send you that YouTube link. You got to watch it. It's such a great
I
TED
love
Talk.
this stuff because I really think that our society, we've hit obviously an inflection point, in our society. And if we don't embrace this thing that most people want, I really think they do. There's just a power structure that this is kind of awkward.
Like Nick said, I just think we have a heads up on the conversation now, right? We have people's ears perked up and people are listening. And so while they're listening, we need to be as vocal and as visible as possible, because I say this all the time, as a community, visibility will always be our biggest strength. Yeah. If we cower down and go hide in a cave somewhere, we'll never get anywhere. But if we go out there and we show them that we are persistent, we matter, and we must be here, and we give ourselves the respect that we deserve, then eventually they'll have no choice but to say, this makes sense, and we need to respect them as humans. And I think that doesn't come without fighting.
And I think,
and I think that also I think young people in particular, probably need to trust faith. I mean, think of the word faith. What does faith mean? It doesn't mean God necessarily. It means belief without proof, something that you intuitively know is true. It's your feminine side. There's faith. Like when I was younger, I had tremendous feeling of divinity living in Africa, right? I had faith. When you look at the African landscape, when you look at the babies and the lions and the lionesses and the ecosystem, I mean, when you're a kid, it's just, to me, that's divinity.
Yeah.
Right.
Faith that we live in a live world that works.
Mm-hmm.
And when I would go to Israel and hear the rabbis talk, you know, it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? In the temple, it's not fucking faith there. You know, when you look at, you know, faith in connecting with somebody who's in pain or who's different than you, you know, who's gay or whatever, the faith that you're touching their soul is so much more powerful than all this religious bullshit, which, you know, has been infected by people in power.
Right. Of course.
You know, and it's like, I really think people should be redefine what they mean by the word faith.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's your soul.
Well, there's a big difference between religion and organized religion and spirituality, right? Because spirituality can be many things. It can be you're in tune with Mother Earth. You're in tune with your elements, the elements that you're surrounded with and the people that you're surrounding with, and have nothing to do with religion.
Yeah. And by the way, this would be a good note to end on. I do have some comic strips in the book, right?
Yes, I've seen those. And they're actually very colorful and well illustrated, by the way.
I just thought of this. There's a whole set of comics at the beginning, 9 pages in color. See the color comics?
Yeah.
Is about what was my life before I became Maria. And one of the last pages, I think it's the second to last page, I talk about my experience going to Jerusalem and what I learned about faith. And climbing the spiritual mountain and the irony of what I found.
Yeah.
I just realized that's an interesting, you just have to read it.
Yeah.
I'm actually looking at that very last one now, and yeah, it's pretty impactful.
Yeah, it's like, yeah. And, you know, basically people got drawn, the power of going to a place like Jerusalem was, this is the irony of it, people got drawn to Jerusalem to try to seek something, right? And you were around a lot of seekers. Mm-hmm. These are not people looking to party. I've never been to a place where so many people were seeking. But the bullshit detector has to be on. I'm
literally just looking at that right now.
There's so much fucking bullshit there.
Yeah.
Right.
But the irony was, when I went to this event, and I just could not stand listening to this rabbi bullshit. And I start leaving, and my wife at the time said, "Oh, come on, you're not gonna walk out in the rabbi. I can't listen to his bullshit anymore." Right? As I'm walking out, I went to go to the coffee room, and there's a bunch of people in the coffee room, and they couldn't listen to his bullshit either. Most people could, but they couldn't. So right. The people that A, were drawn there to begin with, and B, made it through the bullshit filter, that's where I found the gold.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I needed the attractor, but I needed a filter.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
And that really is how I felt about it.
And I think sometimes filters work. It's an amazing thing to filter through life, because you leave behind all those impurities, what you don't need, and you only take what you want. And
you come out with some real gold when you really know who do you support and who do you want to spend your time with. One of my friends, again, I know we got to go. One of my friends was a T-girl who has a girlfriend, right? When he's a man, just similar to me, keeps complaining about his girlfriend. And I said, so-and-so, I said, honestly, I'm sick of hearing it. I don't want to hear it anymore. I leave toxic relationships. My new rules, 10 years ago, I had new rules. I just won't even engage in them. Right. You just need to walk away. Otherwise, I don't want to hear it anymore.
Mm-hmm. That's a phase 3 trait, by the way.
It's a what?
It's a phase 3 trait.
It is. I'm sorry, he says, but you are surrounding yourself with bad karma. Yep. And I'm not going to be an enabler to this. I said to him, you and I are living in completely different worlds. He's trying to make it in the straight world. And I just gave up. I said, I'm not doing this. Straight dating sucks. Not all of it. But
well, I don't think that you gave up. I just think you found a better path for you.
Yeah. I mean, maybe straight dating would work better if I was like really good looking, if I was a Don Juan, but for my formula, and here's where the beautiful thing about life is, I don't have to try to figure it out. I'm just going with what works.
Right.
And the fact that I can take it in the ass makes it even better.
Yes, it does.
Exactly.
And now that is where we should end this conversation, because that is the best button.
Well, Maria Konner, thank you so much for joining us on today's episode. It's been truly enlightening. We had a very amazing conversation surrounding, how people walk in life and the differences between both sides, and that it is okay to embrace both or to struggle with both. And I think that you so eloquently put that into perspective for us on today's episode.
Yeah, really appreciate that. Great. I'm looking forward to seeing what it's titled, what the summary banner is.
Oh yeah, we'll figure that one out.
It's definitely going to be Girl Shock, and it's going to have Girl Shock in there because we
really
want
appreciate
people.
it. I really would love to come back, and you guys were really great. I really, like I said, I really appreciate the deep questions and thoughts. It really means a lot to me.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, for sure. We'll definitely have you come back.
Well,
and I may be in New York October, November. If COVID holds up, I'm going to be living in Manhattan for 2 months. I will definitely, if I'm there, I will definitely look you guys up.
Yeah,
Definitely.
if you're in New York, you can always just hop on the train and come on up. We're only about an hour and a half.
Yeah.
You want me to come up as the dude or Maria?
You can come.
You
in
can
our
come. You can
space
change. You can do whatever you want. It's up
however
to
you want to. It doesn't matter.
That's
we
great. We'll put
love
Maria
it
in the
also.
bag.
Yeah, there
All right.
you go.
All right.
Shows up as the dude. Maria's in the bag. Give me a minute.
Well, my
It
dear.
is superhero theme. Yeah.
Well, my dear, thank you very much. Have yourself a wonderful afternoon, because I know you're in California, and so you're 3 hours.
Work. I'm going to the piano bar.
Well,
Gonna sing a few tunes. Yep.
Well, you enjoy, and thank you once again for joining us.
It was so
Okay,
wonderful.
thank you so much. Love you guys. Okay, bye.
Bye. Love.
Well, ladies and gents, that of course was Maria Konner. Y'all need to pick up this book. It's super cool.
She's awesome.
I love that. I love the fact that the idea that one must pick a side is so ingrained in
and labeling ourselves.
Right. And so for me, the fluidity in her ability to straddle both and struggle with both in a sense it's very endearing and eye-opening in a sense.
It was 100% eye-opening. I was when she started to explain a little bit more about it, I was very taken aback almost. Because I do know a lot of trans individuals, and they have dead names. They don't identify or acknowledge that part of them. And there's something within Maria that's important for her to continue to acknowledge the dude or find a way to maybe move forward. But it was a very... I wasn't expecting to feel enlightened today.
No, it was a completely different take on people's ideal path from being who you were to being who you want to be. And I think that for her or the dude, I think that she places value on the dude. The dude makes the money.
Yeah.
Right?
And I think that's what... she's probably still listening, but I think that's what turned me off the most. Not of her. I love her, but
the situation itself.
I like toward the end when I started talking about like maybe it's Maria, maybe it's Maria's new, whatever it is. Right. I think that you're right. I think she's putting value on the dude so that she feels as though she can provide for herself. When in fact, I feel not only can Maria probably do better than the dude, but Maria would blossom if she could embrace not only the fact that she doesn't need the dude. We don't need a man.
Right. But maybe she does. Right. And that's the important thing, and the important lesson is that regardless of what we're talking about and regardless of one's struggles, there's a reason why they need some aspects of their life, right? There's a reason why even when parents don't agree with who we are as people, we still seek them out.
Right.
Because there's a need. And whatever that need is, I pray and I hope that she finds the...
I hope she gets fucked and loves it.
Right, and that she finds her path, and that she finds her path not only for her, but also for the dude.
Yeah,
and whatever that manifests into, I think it's her decision, her path, and we wish her well and good luck.
Yeah, and we can't wait to have her back on.
Seriously.
That being said, I think I'm going to pee myself, so can we wrap this up?
Okay, so let's do this. All right, well, I want to thank you all for joining us today, so I'm going to toss it over to Nick, of course, because he's going to do our usual Mama Kim's Minute. So, Nicholas, let me give you some love.
Thank you. Thanks. All right, number 1, Moderna starts human trials for its revolutionary HIV vaccine this week. Number 2, Hobby Lobby loses decade-long battle to discriminate against trans employees. Number 3, Gilead warns that counterfeit versions of its HIV meds are being found in U.S. pharmacies.
Wow, which is crazy.
Yeah, that's insane.
All right, well, that is Mama Kim's Minute. And, of course, I get to do On This Day in Gay History. When it is August 23rd, 1994, where in the great country of Australia, the federal government overturns the state anti-sodomy law. Tasmania was the last Australian state to criminalize same-sex relations, meaning that, having butt sex was no longer legal, basically. So, congratulations, and yes, queen. So, all right, well, ladies and gents, thank you.
It's still you.
It's still me. Thank you so much for tuning in on today's episode. Make sure that you go subscribe, rate, and review on your favorite podcasting service. By doing so, you get the latest and greatest of our show delivered right to your favorite device or web browser as soon as our episodes are published. And you can also support us on Patreon, which allows you, our listeners, to support the show with a monetary donation, which we collect monthly and can be in any denomination of $8 or more. Nick?
All right, next week, it is all about the dish as of current. And thank you to our guest, Maria Konner, author of Girl Shock. I dressed as a girl for Halloween, but then she took over my life.
Don't forget the subtopic, which says from straight to fabulous and naughty.
Hello.
All right. My turn?
Yeah.
All right. And now here's Nick with a weekly reminder for all of you bottoms out there, or Marias who are looking to engage in butt sex and who want to keep their buttholes on point. Yes, we are talking about the future method, and I'm going to give her some love. There you go.
Thank you. All right, get the future method today. Each time you clean out with water or enemas, delicate tissues are harmed and cells are damaged, increasing chances of injury and or STDs. The first of its kind, doctor-developed formula gently cleanses before you play without hurting your bum. Make sure you visit futuremethod.com to purchase your life-changing bum cleanser today.
Good job.
So should we put a dental dam, rubber, whatever the fuck you want on this?
Can we say a dilator, butt plug?
Yeah.
You kept calling them butt plugs, and I was like, it should be dilator, really.
Yeah.
I know.
Why didn't you correct me?
Well, I was trying to, but you were in your moment, and I was
Yeah.
like, I'm not going to take it away from him. And I talk enough as it is. So.
All right, so we're going to put a butt plug in it. We're going to put a dental dam on it. We're going to put a condom on it. We're going to just wrap it all up.
That's right.
So our show is available on our website, GayTalk20.com, under audio podcasts. It's also available as a free download on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Stitcher Radio. You can find us on social media, Facebook, GayTalk 2.0, Instagram, GayTalk 2.0, Twitter at GayTalk20. You can email us at GayTalk2.0 at GayTalk20.com. Tom, take it away.
All right. If you need to reach out to us, just head on over to our website. Click on the Contact Us tab, which is located at the top of that web browser. There you can leave comments, suggest topics, submit a question for the cast or a host. You can also call us. The phone number is 334 Gay Talk. I always sound like I'm saying three.
Sometimes.
Three. It's 334-429-8255. Don't forget, we do stream live every Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and you can access that live stream by visiting digitalstreamradio.com. With that, ladies and gents, that is our show. Thank you, and y'all have a good night.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Gay Talk 2.0. Tune in next time for more dish.